It was a dark and chilly night in the small rural town of Milford. In the 1940s, when the town was just a fraction of its current size, there was a young man named John who was determined to win the heart of a beautiful young woman named Sarah. Unfortunately, Sarah's parents did not approve of the match. They thought John was too wild and reckless, always speeding around on his motorcycle and causing mischief. But John was head over heels in love with Sarah and refused to let her parents stand in their way. So every night, under the cover of darkness, he would ride his motorcycle to the outskirts of town where Sarah's farmhouse stood. After her parents went to bed, Sarah would sneak out of her window and flash the lights of her parents' car 3 times. It was their secret signal, letting John know that it was safe to come see her. And every night, he would ride down the road, his heart racing with anticipation. But one fateful night, as John was taking the turn right before her house, he misjudged the sharp bend and lost control of his motorcycle. The bike went one way, and John went the other. His injuries were grave, and he did not survive. The tragic accident left Sarah heartbroken and grief-stricken. She couldn't bear the thought of never seeing John again. She would often sit by her window, gazing out into the darkness, hoping to catch a glimpse of him riding down the road. But it wasn't just Sarah who longed for John's return. The townspeople started hearing strange rumors about the ghost of a love-struck young man roaming the stretches of Milford Road. Some claimed to have seen him speeding by on his motorcycle, while others heard the faint sound of an engine revving in the dead of night. One of the townspeople who was particularly intrigued by these rumors was a man named Culp. He had always been skeptical about ghosts and the paranormal. But when he heard the story of the tragic accident on Milford Road, he couldn't help but be curious. Culp had been dating Sarah for a few months now, and he couldn't resist the opportunity to go on an adventure with her. So one night, he convinced his girlfriend Anna, his wife Ed, and a friend to join him on a trip to the abandoned farm where Sarah used to live. His girlfriend was hesitant, as she was a firm believer in the supernatural and was worried she would be terrified. But Culp was more worried about finding out the truth. He was convinced that the ghost of John was nothing but a made-up story. As they drove down Milford Road, the atmosphere became eerily quiet. The only sound was the soft hum of the car's engine. Soon, they reached the abandoned farm, and Culp's heart started to race with anticipation. As they passed the farmhouse, Culp came up with an idea. He turned the car into the driveway and asked his girlfriend to flash the lights of her car 3 times, just like Sarah used to do for John. It was a long shot, but he had to try. At first, nothing happened. The driveway lay empty and quiet. But suddenly, a beam of light came from the darkness. Flashing 3 times, Culp's girlfriend screamed, and he could feel his own heart racing. "Let's get out of here," his girlfriend exclaimed, clearly frightened. But Culp couldn't resist the opportunity to investigate further. He convinced his girlfriend to stay, and they slowly walked towards the farmhouse. As they approached, a figure emerged from the darkness, a man on a motorcycle, just like the ghost of John they had heard so much about. But as he neared, Culp realized that it wasn't a ghost. It was just a young man out for a late-night ride. Feeling relieved and a little silly, Culp's girlfriend laughed it off, but her eyes were red for some reason but she can't remember. Culp was looking at the young man driving the motorcycle, who was watching his girlfriend as someone he knew from the deepest part of his heart. Culp couldn't help but wonder if the legend of John's ghost was just a clever cover-up for some late-night joyrides. From that day on, Culp started to question the validity of all ghost stories and found himself more open to logical explanations for supposedly supernatural occurrences. And as for Sarah and John's tragic love story, he never found out the truth. But sometimes, the unknown is what makes a story truly captivating and mysterious. That night, in the bed, Sarah opened her eyes and got close to the window.